Do you know how the salaries and allowances of various constitutional functionaries in India are determined? Welcome to our exploration of Schedule 2 of the Indian Constitution, a pivotal guide that sets the financial terms for some of the nation's highest offices. This includes the President of India, the governors of states, the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Schedule 2 is not just about numbers and figures, it's about maintaining the independence and integrity of these critical roles. By ensuring these offices are adequately compensated, we safeguard them from being swayed by financial considerations. But what happens when changes need to be made to these provisions? Well, any alterations can only be enacted by the Parliament through legislation. This democratic process reinforces the principles of separation of powers and checks and balances within the Indian constitutional framework. Now let's dive deeper into the specifics of Schedule 2. Starting at the top, we have the President of India. As the nation's highest constitutional authority, the President's salary and benefits are meticulously outlined in Schedule 2 of the Indian Constitution. But how are these emoluments determined? The President's salary is not arbitrary. Rather, it is a reflection of the magnitude of the responsibilities that come with holding the office. This ensures the incumbent is not swayed by financial considerations, thereby preserving the integrity of the presidency. The allowances and benefits too are not just random perks. They serve a purpose: to enable the President to discharge his or her duties effectively. These may include everything from maintenance for official residences to travel expenses, and more. Importantly, any alterations to these provisions can only be made by the Parliament through legislation, reinforcing the democratic ethos of our nation. The President's salary and allowances are designed to reflect the dignity and importance of the office. Moving on to other significant constitutional functionaries, let's dive deeper into Schedule 2 of the Indian Constitution. This section outlines the emoluments and benefits of the governors of states, judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Firstly, the governors of states. These individuals play a pivotal role in India's federal structure, and their financial compensation is set to reflect this vital responsibility. Their salaries are determined by the President and can only be altered via legislation by the Parliament, ensuring a democratic process is followed. Next, we have the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts. Their salaries are of paramount importance in maintaining the independence of the judiciary. The Constitution meticulously outlines their emoluments, ensuring that judges can carry out their duties without any financial worries. Again, any alterations to these provisions require legislation by the Parliament, upholding the principles of separation of powers and checks and balances. Lastly, let's discuss the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This office is responsible for auditing all receipts and expenditure of the Government of India and the state governments, including those of bodies and authorities substantially financed by the government. It's a role of immense significance, and the compensation is set accordingly to ensure the office holder can perform their duties without being swayed by financial considerations. The primary purpose behind these provisions is to ensure that these functionaries are adequately compensated for their services. It's about more than just remuneration. It's about maintaining the integrity and independence of these offices. By providing a decent salary and allowances, the Constitution ensures that these functionaries can serve the nation without being unduly influenced by financial considerations. In conclusion, the salaries and allowances outlined in Schedule 2 are not just figures on a page. They are a testament to the value we place on our constitutional functionaries and the roles they play in upholding our democratic system. These provisions ensure that these functionaries are adequately compensated and not unduly influenced by financial considerations. To summarize what we've discussed so far, Schedule 2 of the Indian Constitution plays a pivotal role in preserving the independence and integrity of various constitutional offices. It lays out the emoluments and benefits for the President of India, the governors of states, the judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts, and the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This schedule ensures that these office holders are adequately compensated for their services, protecting them from any undue financial influence. It's crucial to remember that any modifications to Schedule 2 can only be made by the Parliament through legislation. This safeguard embodies the democratic process and upholds the principles of separation of powers and checks and balances within the Indian constitutional framework. So, whether it's the President at the helm or a judge in the Supreme Court, Schedule 2 is there to ensure fairness and independence. And there you have it, a comprehensive look at how the salaries and allowances of various constitutional functionaries in India are determined.